Okay, you're on.
Okay, I am ready. Hello, everybody. I hope somebody is here. I'm doing my question and answer period, and I'm looking forward to helping everybody in any way I can. And by the way, good morning from Pattaya, Thailand. It's an absolutely gorgeous morning. I'm
Hey,
not
Dr. Jibo,
sure.
we're waiting for a few questions to come in. Can you go ahead and check your internet speed? Make sure that you're connected to
Yeah,
the right network.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm surprised because I know I had people tell me they were going to network speed test, run speed test. It's almost done. So right now, Johnny, you're running at 22.4 download and MPS upload is 2.80. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. That's good enough, I guess. It's a bit low, but let's go and run with it. Okay, your first
Okay.
question's up here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Where did it go? Okay, there we are. And what are some subtle signs of self-sabotage that people might overlook? And how can we start to recognize these behaviors in ourselves? Subtle signs. Let me get myself centered here. Subtle. The trick for me is realizing I got to look at that little camera. As far as subtle signs go, the actual fact of the matter is they're all very obvious. The reason things seem subtle is due to our lack of consciousness. Our level of awareness is very poor. If your level of awareness is high, self sabotage is hyper easy to see. Why? Because you are trying to do something, can be anything, and you either quit right away or you quit very soon, or even if it's 3 months in. So you go to do a project and it fails or you stop. Something gets in the way every time. And generally, what we do is we always think that the other thing stopped us. That thing stopped us. The taxes stopped us. The government stopped us. The rules stopped us. Everything stopped. It's not. It's within us. How do you know that? It's very simple. If you're not there, the problem cannot exist for you. Even the moon. If you look at the moon, if we take away you, there's no moon for you. The moon will be there for me, but it's not there for you. So you cannot, you'll never be able, as long as you live, you'll never be able to remove you from whatever is going on. So self sabotage is an internal job. And you see, most of us are unaware of the fact that we have an inner world, but everything comes from the inner world. Like Michio, what's his name? There's a Japanese Michio, Japanese physicist, and he'll say There is no out there separate from in here, meaning in here, inside. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question? Oh, I don't see anything in my chat just yet. Aha, I got another one. In what ways does our subconscious hold on to our past beliefs and experiences that may no longer serve us? And how does this fuel self? That's a beautiful question. Thank you. In what ways does the subconscious hold on to past beliefs? So use a computer model, okay? You have software in your computer, in the data. The software in the database is the subconscious mind, okay? The way it holds on to it, so it's sitting there, it's there. And then when you hit certain keys or ask a certain question on the computer, or you do some operation, you open that file. If you hit that file, you open that file. If you don't hit that file, you're hitting another file. So the subconscious, it's just like genetics. There's no such thing as genetic predetermination of anything. You could have a million genes for cancer, doesn't mean nothing. Bruce Lipton and I don't know how many scientists after that have all proven that. Epigenetics controls genetics. What is epigenetics? That is when you hit the keys. It's a signal. Epigenetics is pure quantum physics. The same mechanism that operates epigenetics is what I do with depth healing. It's exactly the same. So the subconscious is the nucleus in a cell. What is in the nucleus? That's where all the genes are. What is that? It's a library. It's just a library. And then there's something like 20,000 genes. But each one has something like 300, what is it? 300 or 3,000. It's a hell of a lot of choices that it can express, every single gene. So the signal, which is a frequency, goes through the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the brain. And the signal that is allowed into the subconscious, into the nucleus, is selected by the perception of the cell membrane, the brain. So that's your perception, which has been conditioned, and the signal goes in. So you're typing on your keyboard on the computer, you open a file, and that file happens to self-sabotage your current activity. It may not self-sabotage anything else, but in that particular activity, which may be, say, related to making money, you have self-sabotage. The file is opened. What I do in depth healing is I go in, find the file, and remove it. When it's removed, it's gone. Now you can try to brain reprogramming over top of the file, but if that file gets triggered, it's still there. I hope I answered that question. Let's see here. How to let go of memories of trauma and feelings trapped? It's not so much that you let go. You see, we will say, the old saying is time heals all wounds. No, that's the way, that's how you get cancer and everything else. Time does not heal the wound. Time moves on and other experiences come on, like leaves on the ground. and then you can bury the leaf under more leaves, and then bury those leaves under more leaves, but the other leaf's still there. That's the way it is. It's the subconscious trauma is there. Now, if the subconscious trauma is active, that's called a SEMO, or post-traumatic stress syndrome. And SEMO, I like a SEMO better than post-traumatic stress syndrome because it actually describes what's going on. Sympathetic emotional memory override. In the sympathetic nervous system, there is a memory or trauma recorded that is overriding your normal physiology or your happiness or the present moment. It overrides it. It overrides it because it's active. So with depth healing technology, I locate it and I uh, disassemble it. Disassembling process means removing the entanglements. And yours, my client's nervous system and mind shows me the entanglements, and I disintegrate until we get down to the base fundamental download. I disintegrate that, and the post traumatic stress syndrome is gone. And I've done that for hundreds, maybe thousands of people. It's gone. When it's gone, physiology restores, brain everything reorganizes, and physiology and everything is fine. Same thing with any emotional trauma. Noun, imposter syndrome, persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort. Noun. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding how to let go of him. Same process. I've never seen that term before, but it's irrelevant. It's always the same process. Remember, subconscious mind is a recording tool made for our survival that is recording at a minimum of 40 million bits of information per second. The new data is saying 4 billion bits of information per second. So you can actually, we can't imagine the detail. Whatever you want to call it, the process is always the same. Using destructive interference wave frequencies matched to the existing frequencies of the entanglements and the original download, the fundamental download, they have to be disintegrated. Just like if you have a bunch of little soap bubbles and you pop them and then they're gone. It's the same thing because the information in the subconscious, any kind of a program, doesn't matter what it is, it's just photons of light. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist inside your head. Subconscious mind is not in your head at all. And they measured that now. That's accepted science. They have instrumentation to show that. I hope I answered that question. Is it possible to entirely dissolve? Yes. Is it possible to entirely dissolve cognitive dissonance? Absolutely. I did it. Or is it more about manage? No, 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 no. You don't manage it. No, no. That's uh, that's that's nonsense. If you could just manage it, you would see 100 million people who are more successful and happy. No, I removed the cognitive dissonance that I have or had for lack and financial success, and I live that. Um, you know, everything I do. Cognitive dissonance is totally, but you have to dissolve it specifically. That's why I always say depth healing is surgical. You don't blanket cognitive dissonance. You have to, because of the specificity and detail of the recording ability of our amazing mind at 40 million bits, if that's the minimum, it has to be specific. That's why the question process is so important. Every word in the questions and the way I pose them, it took me over 8 years with Dr. Habersky to learn how to pose the question and all the ramifications and permutations of words and their and implications. Here's the next question. What are some initial steps people can take to interpret self-sabotaging patterns in their daily life? The best thing you can do is journal. So in the journal, you put down your objective of doing anything. Like right now, I'm in the process of changing daily life habits, so they're more progressive, and I am achieving new results. Because there's never a year where I start a year and I want to end the year and I'm the same guy doing the same thing, earning the same amount of money. No, never. So how do I do that? Well, I got to change habits. So I'm going through that process now. So journaling, you say what your objective is, and when you start. And as you're going through the journaling process, your brain will be noticing objectively what's going on. The writing process removes emotional entanglements, or it will reveal. If there's an emotional entanglement to something, it'll reveal it. By doing that process, and it doesn't have to be long, it can be point form, but it will show you where the self-sabotaging. I found some of my old journals from 20, 30 years ago. Boy, was that ever a revelation for me. Huge, 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 huge. So, journaling, folks. Do we need to completely rewire the brain to get rid of self sabotage? No. Or can we overlay the subconscious with new mandate? Like I always say about reprogramming. Reprogramming is a great thing, but it only does what it can do. It's like EFT. It can only do what it can do. Reprogramming is about 40% effective. You don't, anytime you remove any cognitive dissonance or ever see me for even one frequency, your brain reorganizes. And the reorganization affects the total brain and the total everything. Just like if I have a great big giant pool of water over here, let's say I have a small inland lake, and I throw a rock, the lake is calm. I throw a rock from the side into the water. That rock and that wave affects the entire lake. You can verify that with instrumentation. Every single molecule making up that lake will be affected. So it is impossible to do a session with me or anything like this type of work and not reorganize the total brain, because it cascades. Reprogramming, like I say, if you use leaves in the fall, so instead of raking the leaves, all gone, so you leave a layer of the leaves on the ground, then you bury them under new leaves. That's reprogramming. but the problem is still underneath. And anything in your life that occurs in a certain way will trigger it because it's still there. That's why people get cancers and think, because that energy, it doesn't want to be there. Depends on what it is, of course. But if it's a bad one, like shame or guilt or grief, and that's what it's associated with, it needs to be found and removed. Let me see here. In clarity, in other words, if we raise our frequency and affirm new ideas that override past programming, can this be enough to reprogram the subconscious to create new health, wealth, or condition? Let me read that again. If we raise our frequency and affirm new ideas. So in order to raise your frequency, that's a good question. That requires a complicated answer. Whenever you are going through the process with me, your frequency is raising. You will never leave a session without the frequency rising, because negatives are, every time you hear me clap, something just was disintegrated. So that's raising the frequency, because it changes the perception and the programming, which changes your frequency. Now, I like this question in that you change the frequency and then affirm new ideas. That's a very good point. One time when I was first learning best bioenergetic synchronization technique, which is the basis of depth healing as far as science goes, I said to Dr. Dinoff. Dr. Dinoff is a world-class master in Georgia. And I said, so when is all this pain going to go away? Because he was clearing subconscious subconscious dissonance and so forth. And he said, when you think differently. So when I'm working on you, your brain is reorganizing, and that starts the thinking differently process, because we're addressing something that you have a problem with in the first place. But one thing that you can absolutely do is use affirmations like I am, invoking I am, and doing affirmations to affirm a new course of action. Usually, to really make that lock in, I use and I teach Psych K. When it comes to brain reprogramming, Psych K is the king of kings. When it comes to cognitive dissonance, depth healing is the king of kings. Psych K was made by Ron Morris. I've been using it over 30 years. What you can do is use me to remove the issue, and Psych K for expedited cognitive, subconscious and behavioral change. Now, did I answer that? As far as people say they raise their raising your frequency is not that easy. What happens is you can start doing some really nice behavioral things that will raise your frequency, like spending time in nature and so forth. However, the way the world is designed right now, maintaining that type of frequency is next to absolutely impossible. Okay. If it wasn't, like for instance, Vipassana retreats, real serious people, they go to those retreats and they're not easy at all. They come out of those retreats and very few can hold the level because of the way the world is designed now. And I can talk, I should talk and teach you more and more about that. Let me see here. What are some examples that we self-sabotage, especially the what are some examples that we self-sabotage, especially the subtle ways? Going to the let's use going to the gym. A lot of people are obese. They want to lose weight. They want to go to the gym, and um, self-sabotaging that, they will unconsciously become unable to keep the schedule due to busyness with something. Like let's say they got to leave at 8 o'clock and they are supposed to be at the gym at 8:30. And one of the ways that can be unconscious is they get on the phone and they are surfing the phone, or they get hooked into something on the phone, or they get hooked on answering their emails. And it's a subconscious interference pattern because they don't really want to go to the gym. The dissonance is if they go to the gym, they think people are laughing at them because they're obese, or they're humiliated, or they feel shame. So, in order to avoid that, the subconscious self sabotage will be becoming busy on the computer, and then they rationalize it and say, "Well, it's very important I answer those emails, or it's very important that I talk to her. I haven't talked to her for a month. I can always go to the gym tomorrow." That's how it works. And then tomorrow, same thing. Tomorrow, the same thing. They might make it to the gym a couple of times, and then they'll rationalize, and the rationalization's all uh, that's how we lie to ourselves. And it all boils down when you get to the bottom of it. They were shamed maybe when they were 7 years old. They were a little pudgy. Everybody laughed at them when they couldn't do the gym exercise. That locked it in. They may have sealed it with a fundamental childhood decision, which makes it extra strong. And then that pattern's there. So I have to find it and dissolve that at the age of 7, and then come up to their present age and handle the dissonance now. And then they will not feel that, and they can keep their agenda. Did I answer that question? Could you share a simple exercise to help recognize and address self sabotaging behaviors as they arise? As I was saying earlier, a simple exercise is a pen, not a computer, not a phone, not a voicemail, a pen with paper. They know in the research that is a different activity that produces a superior result. You take a pen and paper and you sit right down, shut the phone off, and you shut the computer off, and you start your journaling. You start reflecting. And if you don't know anything to reflect, if you draw a blank, just start with your to-do list. Anything, to-do list. And then you check it at the end of the day. Did I do that? Didn't I do that? If you started a behavior and you're doing it, and all of a sudden it's gone, you can see it on the paper. It's gone. You didn't get to it. You didn't get to it yesterday and the day before. This is the third day. Now you say to yourself, why am I not doing it? And you have to be honest with yourself. This is where inner integrity comes in, because you need to own it. The trick will be your mind will want to rationalize it, because your mind always wants to make sure you're right. The mind will always do that. So you have to be honest with yourself. Could you share? So the always the simple exercise, because we're dealing with the mind, with cognition. Therefore, the pen and paper is your exercise. If you try to do it in meditation, best of luck to you. Best of luck. Millions of people try and millions of people fail. How can techniques like visualization or affirmation play a role in aligning our subconscious with conscious goals? Well, if you can do visualization with enough frequency, duration, and intensity, and that's why the capital word is if, you can do visualization or affirmations or both with enough intensity, frequency, and long enough, you will imprint the subconscious and it will carry out what you want. That's how I healed my back when I was 27, using that's a simple cybernetic principle, and it works. But you must do it with real intensity, long enough, and consistently, and you will imprint the subconscious mind. And then the subconscious mind, remember, this is the basis of the subconscious mind. It will absolutely make sure that your reality, your behavior, your body, your friends, your money matches the image and programming in that it contains. That's why Tony Robbins, who understands all of this very well, he'll say, uh, your self identity. If you don't change the self identity, he says, you will change nothing, because the subconscious is going to make sure, absolutely sure, and it has all the power. Conscious mind has nothing. Nothing. All it is a direction. If I have a rifle and I just move the rifle little tiny bit, the long-term trajectory changes dramatically. You don't even, you can almost not even notice it where he's uh, right at the base, but way down. See, that's how all this works. So, am I answering that question? Visualization and affirmation will imprint, but the key is the duration, frequent. When I healed my back, I did it I changed the bone structure and sealed the back because it was broken in just 6 weeks or something. But I'm doing the visualizing process for about 4 hours every day with a great deal of intensity. So I had the time and I had the physical place, because I was living at home with my mom and she was feeding me, and I had shelter, so I could do 4 hours a day. Same thing with Joe Dispenza. He was convalescing at his friend's house. He left the hospital broken to pieces. He went to his friend's house, who's feeding him, giving him shelter, so he could do his intense, his meditation method is different than mine, because he's trained as an engineer. I'm not. So I work entirely, uh, how would you say? Joe is reassembling If you read his writing, he's reassembling the bone structure itself. And he had spinal cord was pushed into the crushed bone because he was run over by a truck. Mine just breaks in half. When you if you program the subconscious does not require your help to reassemble anything at all. All you got to do is give the subconscious mind a picture. So if you're hurt or sick and you can imprint successfully a healthy picture, the healthy picture doesn't match the broken body. So the subconscious will fix it. But again, you have to actually be able to focus with enough intent. That's why my work is so important because I take away about 95% of the problem, and then the rest is easy for you. How does one how does one understand their belief system? Hello, Tom, from Tom Roberts. How does one understand their belief system? Tom, clarify this for me. You mean how do you understand your own belief system, or how do you understand the belief system I'm telling you? Would clarify your question for me. Whose belief system? Okay, I've got a nice lady, Laura. Let me answer her question first. It seems that there are secondary gains from self-sabotage behaviors, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely true. Very good, Laura. That's absolutely true. So for the audience, if you don't understand what she's saying, when you don't carry out what you intended in the first place, like, let's just say a new behavioral change, there's a secondary gain, meaning you're getting rewarded somehow, so that you don't follow through with the intended behavioral change. You stay in the bad habit or the negative habit or the unprofitable behavior because there's a secondary gain. Let's say it's a social gain. If you don't elevate yourself, you'll retain the same friends. If you elevate yourself, which is what you really want, you know you'll lose your current friends. So you start to elevate yourself, but you'll self sabotage to stay with the people that you know and where your comfort zone is. Self sabotage is all about staying in the comfort zone. Evolution is the opposite. And the secondary gains Laura is talking about solidify and maintain the comfort zone. Does that make sense? Did I answer you, Laura? I want to address Tom. If you can just reword that, okay. Good morning, Dr. Grant. It's Tom. I know. I know. So explain to me, yes, how do I understand my belief system? That's quite a question. How do I understand my belief system? Well, the first thing I would do, Tom, is you ask yourself this question on paper. On paper, you ask yourself this question: what is my belief system regarding? You need a category. You can't just say my belief system. I have a belief system about interior design. I have a belief system about the universe. I have a belief system about how a man should behave, and et cetera, et cetera. So you get a category. What is my belief system regarding such and such? And then you write it down. And as you look at it, your brain will process it. As your brain is processing it, and you really look at it, you're going to be checking, do I accept this? Is this true? Is this valuable? Does this help me? My self-concept and money. Okay, so your same process. So your self-concept, write it out. It'll change over time. You're young. By the time you're my age, your self-concept will have changed multiple times. Two, as far as money goes, write it out in great detail. That is always the first step, and it can literally be the last step, because you can look right at it without the emotional entanglements that are all associated. Bottom line, what is your self concept, and how does money fit into that? See, when I was your age, I was trained as a samurai, and I was actually trained as a samurai, and I served as a samurai. Samurai do not um, use money, touch money. That was for women in samurai society. Japanese samurai consider money under their feet, just worthless and even disgusting. So that was my concept. And of course, that's all a bunch of hogwash. But what it did was it made sure that when I was your age, I couldn't earn a dime, no matter how hard I worked. And anything I did earn was gone instantly. And all of that programming had to be erased, because that was my cognitive dissonance that kept me dirt poor. And that was a concept. It's just like air. You can't actually feel it. So this is a mental exercise, and you do it on paper, Tom. Did I answer your question? Okay, I've got one here. How are there specific meditation or mindfulness practices that help reveal subconscious resistance? Yes, of course. Any good meditation practice, if you can actually do it, it can show you that, because you in meditation, which is mindfulness, you become aware in the present moment. That's the key. The problem is that the mind, which does not belong to us in the first place, is flowing, and it's flowing in through here and out through the back. And your brain is an antenna system. So when you sit to meditate, basically, all you're going to find, if you're in a consciousness model like mindfulness meditation, you can do that for 60, 80 years and go absolutely nowhere, because you cannot control the mind, because it doesn't belong to you. Trying to stop mind is mind. It's worthless. So they go nowhere, or they just live in illusion. So the trick with meditation, that's why they tell you that the teacher will say, you watch the thoughts come and go like clouds passing in the sky. What's the purpose of that? The purpose is disidentification with the thoughts, because you realize that, and you can see it when you're calm, they're just coming and going. They don't have anything to do with you. They never have, they never will. The specific thoughts that run through you are all by resonance. The thoughts that run through me are not the same thoughts that run through Einstein. It's different, because my brain is wired differently, It's tuned differently. I'm a student of mysticism. I'm tuned that way. So I receive that information. So meditation is to disidentify with mind. So once you can do that, if you can do that, then you have the stillness to see self-sabotaging behaviors, how you are, what's going on. That's why they say to see is to be free, but it isn't easy. That's why energy meditations are superior, completely superior, like heart math. What does it look like to live without self-sabotage? How do you know when your mind and body and energy are fully aligned? Uh, that's real easy. When you get rid of self-sabotage relative to what you're trying to do now, remember that. When you remove the self-sabotaging dissonance there, everything will just flow. It'll just flow. That's why I teach everybody learn and identify on paper your values. If you don't know your values, you will never find on your own where you have cognitive dissonance or self sabotage. Self sabotage would mean that you are guaranteeing that you're not living your values in any given area. Soon as the self sabotage is gone, you will, and it'll all flow. And when your mind and body and everything are fully aligned, you will literally just be at ease and unstoppable. There won't be trouble or stress. Now, I've witnessed this live. I'm pretty good, but only pretty good. I've seen masters from different spiritual paths who are there, and it's just uncanny. It's uncanny. And people will say, well, they have synchronicity. Uh, when their mind, body, and everything is all aligned, they're in grace, and it's unbelievable. It's just like walking in the park, and all of regular life is going on, but because they're so aligned and transformed inside, it's nothing. It's nothing. Sometime, if you want, I'll describe the advanced special training that Joe Dispenza did to at the School of Ramtha for breaking through enormous barriers, mental barriers. Let me see this question. How can someone continue evolving after they've broken through major self sabotaging patterns to ensure that they don't fall back into them? How can someone continue evolving? Well, I like this question a lot. How can someone continue evolving? Life requires vigilance. Life requires vigilance. You know what entropy is? You learned it in school. Entropy means things dissolve and they scatter. Like when your body, if you die and we leave you over there on the ground, eventually you'll rot. Because entropy, once the life force, which is you, leaves, when your consciousness leaves the physical body will, by entropy, start to dissolve and go back into the ground where it comes from. Life requires attention. The attention is consciousness. That's what the universe is. The universe and God is the real, the universal intelligence is the great I, which means it just is. That's why the God said to Moses, I am that I am. So that's the life force that creates the sun, the stars, you, everything. So you are in your body, the consciousness, and it requires vigilance because we live in a 3D world, a 3D dimensional reality. To constantly evolve, see, cognitive dissonance, there is much in your subconscious mind as there is molecules of water in the Pacific Ocean, easily or way more. But they lay dormant, just like there's 20,000 genes. With I got to research that again. How many 100,000 choices each gene has, and which they're all latent. They're just sitting there. And life, people, smells, taste, touch, everything that your senses encounter can and will trigger subconscious data and programming. And some of them will be a dissonance to whatever, some of them will be a fear to whatever, some of them will be love to something, some of them will be for courage, some of them will be for escape. Some they're all there, like keys on a piano that extends for miles. And depending on the key you touch, which is your life, living your life, a sound comes. So to constantly evolve requires your attention. I hope I'm answering that question. Can fear, anxiety be a form of self sabotage? Yeah, absolutely. Of course. How to overcome it? See me. That's what I do. Or you can go hire if you're able to be hypnotized, a good hypnotist can go in there and take care of that. Um, Fear and anxiety can be knocked out by systematic desensitization. You can go to rapid eye desensitization, which will erase it, specific to whatever it is. There are systems, and you can just call me, and I'll just remove it. I do it every day. I have clients in 5 minutes, and I think, yeah, and I'll be doing it for them. Okay, does that make sense? Thank you all for, yes, thank you all for joining. I did love all the questions. I absolutely love questions. I learn by you questioning me because it causes me to understand my own work. And you're very, very welcome. Love you all. Please tell your friends about these Q&As. It's a great time to learn. It's a great time for us to bond, and it helps me to help you. Okay? You guys take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Make sure you look at all of the stuff that's going on in because I got all kinds of great programs right now. And for the ending of this year, we're doing a special discount so you can afford to see me. And I hope you'll take advantage of that. Okay, just go to the website, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.